I do love to make things. I love to craft, and I'm always looking for new ways to make my work look a little different. But what we're working on during today's Makeup Monday is a new way to create a wrap, I suppose, that you tuck in around the baby during your sessions. So it's all about creating variety and using different elements that are really simple but yet effective to achieve some beautiful results. So I'm excited about this because I have been already making something at home. Garrett's already pointing the camera at our baby down here, and you can kind of see the detail wrap that I've got tucked in over the top of our doll here. And it's literally just a piece of fabric, and I've used a needle and thread to sew different sort of areas together to create what's called smocking. I had a big piece of fabric that I bought from just a fabric store. It's like a lycra. It's a really stretchy piece of fabric. It works beautifully as a backdrop. So to create a wrap to go over the baby, I just cut a section of it off, and I'm going to go through the steps now on how to create this smocking kind of effect. But it is pretty cool because you can, you know, pull it this way and it looks a little bit thinner. You can stretch it right out and you can still create some pretty cool effects. And then you can tuck it in. You could even, you know, leave a little ruffle around the edge of the baby if you wanted to, just to create something a little different. All right, so let me show you what sort of materials that I've got here that we're going to use. So again, this is just another piece of that fabric that's been cut off, and I don't know if you can see there my little dots that I've drawn onto the fabric. Just. Okay, so if you were smocking a bodice for like a dress or a top on a little baby, you'd probably be working with a fabric that has a little bit more structure. So to create that result, I have a ruler that's got inches on it and centimeters. You could do it smaller if you wanted to. Obviously, the smaller you do your dots to achieve this particular effect, the longer it's going to take you. So that's why I went with inches instead of centimeters. So a fabric piece of chalk or pencil, needle and thread is what you're going to need, pins if possible, and a pair of scissors and a ruler. So that's basically all you need for something like this. So I start off by making my marks along the top row, and I just literally come in and mark them an inch apart. So you can see here I've already got them marked up to save us some time, and then you do them across and then down an inch apart to create those perfect little squares. So again, coming down the side. Just ignore that little bit there that I messed up. But you can see that coming together now. Look at that. It's so pretty, right? But it does take a couple of rows to get it right. So as I said, you go down, down, underneath, gather across, up, underneath, gather across, down, underneath, gather across, up, underneath, gather across. And then to come down again so that way if you come all the way to the top, so we've gathered then these two pieces and you're left with a bit of thread that comes out. Then you come down again and you create that little marker, which is what we've done here with that one. And then you come down again. And then we gather across. So this is down, down, and then we gather across, and then we come down again, and we gather across, and then we come up underneath, and we gather across, and then we come down underneath. Sorry, it's really hard to draw on this fabric. And then we come across and gather. And then we come up if we were going back in the opposite direction. So on the sides, you kind of come down, down, across, down, and then across, up. So as you work your way across, so that the bits that you're gathering create that diamond effect, because these two come together to make one in the middle. These two come together to make a point here, and these two come together to make a point here. So you're kind of creating that diamond effect. Does that make sense? I know it makes sense to my brain. So as I said, when you're doing a full body wrap or even the potato sack wrap, anything where you have the baby wrapped up like this, it can be difficult in some sessions to try and get variety when you do have a baby that needs to be wrapped for comfort. So we often hear people say, you know, my baby doesn't like being wrapped, or photographers saying the baby didn't want to be wrapped. Now, if you're in a session and you have a baby that has arms and legs going in different directions, if you have a baby that's upset, fussing, that seems at all unsettled, your wrapping is going to be your go-to. Now, even if the baby resists, the baby does not know it's being wrapped, I can assure you. The baby is resisting because it has no control, what we call resisting. It has no control over its arms or legs, its muscles, its ligaments, nothing. The reason its arms and legs are moving and it's pushing against you is because it has a form of discomfort. There's something going wrong, in whether it be an upset tummy, overstimulated, it could be overtired. Often that is usually the case from being overstimulated, but it could have wind, it could have anything. So those jerking arm and leg movements are often the result of something that's not right. The baby's trying to tell you with those movements that it needs something, whether it be comfort from the form of being wrapped, or it needs to be fed because it's hungry. So there's always a process of elimination that we need to go through to try and identify why a baby might be unsettled. But sometimes all it just needs is to feel secure. So the reason that we do this particular style of wrapping, and the reason it's my go-to when I have an awake or unsettled baby, is because it has spent 9 months in the womb, completely surrounded in amniotic fluid and soft tissue. So it is supported at all times. When that baby's born, it's born into a world and all of a sudden, hello, I've got room to kick and move. It takes literally months for babies to have any form of control over those leg or arm movements. It is born with one natural fear, and that is the fear of falling. So that's something that we have to understand as photographers. So if you are trying to wrap a baby and it's got its arms and its legs, it's not pushing against you. It doesn't know what you're doing, and it's not telling you that it doesn't like to be wrapped. It literally has no control over what it's doing, and those movements are reactions to a form of discomfort, in whether it, like as I said, it may be being unsettled, overtired, overstimulated, hungry, bellyache, wind, gas, constipation, you name it, reflux. It could have anything going on. You just have to go through the process of elimination, as I said, to work out how to keep that baby comfortable. And the reason that I go to this wrapping technique is because for 9 months, it has been in a very similar position, completely surrounded and supported. So it's our job to make that baby feel supported, feel comfortable, and feel secure. And then you won't get that startle reflex. The minute you wrap a baby, the minute you calm them down and make them feel nice and secure, you make them feel safe. And when they feel safe and warm and snug, they go to sleep. So that's why often I am looking, coming back to the whole point of today's class, I am often looking for reasons to create variety. And that's where crafting comes in very, very handy, because I might have a baby that's awake, but I've got a small amount of time to get those photos. I don't want to wait. I don't want to spend hours trying to rock a baby to sleep. I've got a very small window of opportunity for my clients to get the photos that I need, that I've promised, that they're paying me for. So whether you take 2 hours or 4 hours, obviously based on the discussions and the conversations that you have with your clients, that's the time that you have. People who take anywhere between 4 to 6 hours really need to reconsider how they are working within their session workflow. So this is why we need to come up with different ideas, different concepts to create variety, so we can give our clients something special at the end of the day. We've got to use our talents. We've got to use our arts and crafts, if you will.